Hey guys, this is part 2 of Realms of the Living Dead since the internet dropped and so did my video ended. So I do apologize for that. So let's continue. Remember that a fundamental law of psychology tells us that every thought entertained tends to express itself in terms of action unless counteracted by contrary thought of equal power. This law applies to all suggestions either from without or within. Those which are entertained tend to result in action. For instance, the carrying of a revolver suggests the right to kill at your discretion, and the temptation to do so is continually present, only waiting the opportunity for expression. We should therefore not only resist temptations to respond to suggestions which we do not wish to execute, but should take pains to avoid placing ourselves in positions where such temptations are suggested. It is difficult for many to resist such temptations because through indulgence in past lives, they have been born in this life with weakened wills, lack of self-control, and psychopathic tendencies in general, where the parents with whom they have chosen to incarnate furnish them a body which is either more or less defective or which is unstable, nervous organism. Those who refuse to learn and refuse to exercise self-discipline in this life will lay the foundation for psychopathic paranoid conditions in a future life. In this respect, at least universal military training, even if not service in war, will do much for regeneration of the race. For under such training, the soul will be taught the principles of discipline, obedience, self-sacrifice for an ideal, respect for an authority, improved talent, consideration for others, personal hygienics, etc., all of which will be tremendous aid to the self-discipline after the period of service is over. I'm just going to put a pause there. I reread that because I didn't know where it ended. I saw the internet thing, flashy flash, and then it went. So again, the so-called cases of dual and multiple personalities, which so greatly puzzle our modern day psychologists, in most cases are simply temporary obsessions by various disembodied personalities, although there are certain exceptions too technical to be described here. Rather than admit this simple and almost self-evident fact recognized throughout the ages, even by Jesus and all great teachers, our modern psychologists, few, if any, of whom are psychic, have developed any psychic powers or have any personal knowledge of psychic experiences, although they still claim to be psychologists, have concocted the most elaborate images as the splitting up of one personality into various secondary selves, which require a far greater demand upon our credibility than to admit the simple fact of obsession and control by an astral entity. As St. John tells us, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in the high places of the astral world. In the desire realm, all these forces are represented and are gathered together in what may well be called principalities, with their rulers, satraps, and servitors, are prepared to rush forth and fight in every way possible to uphold their rule. And it is these concentrated forces of evil against which we must wrestle day and night. Woe to the poor mortal who opens a door, even a tiny crack, to any of the forces thus enumerated. For instance, consider ambition. There is no more powerful principality than the one ruled by ambition. Often a man or a woman is working truly and sincerely and following the Christ in humility, when still well-meaning friends suggest to them that they are doing great things, which are deserving of recognition by the world, or praises them lavishly for doing their duty. At once the door of ambition is unlatched, and as this door hangs even loose on its hinges, the recipient of the praise may get rather enjoy gazing through its portals. But alas, ere they are aware of their danger, any army from the principality of ambition rushes through and captures the citadel of their hearts, and they are carried away captive So it is with all the other principalities when we open the door through harboring or contemplating their characteristic thoughts. Just as there is beauty, sweetness, fragrance, and harmony in nature in the world around us, as well as in harmony, disease, and decay, so is there beauty, sweetness, love, and purity in the astral world. And these aspects will present to our consciousness instead of the evil if we seek for, demand, affinitize ourselves with the entertain them. If we disdain the odors and conditions found in the slums of a city, desire to enjoy pure air, the trees, flowers, birds, we can enjoy them wherever our desire for them is strong enough to cause us to leave the slums and seek the parks, fields, or woods. And just as there are obsessing entities who would ruin us to gratify their evil desires, so are these loving friends, spiritual teachers, and currents of life-giving spiritual force, which will help uplift us if we correlate with them according to the independent method described here. But neither these friends, teachers, or forces can reach us while we are surrounded by dark clouds of anger, passion, selfishness, and or lustful thoughts. Nor can the force their way to our side as long as we entertain the crowds and debauch astral entities or perverted teachers who surround us under such conditions. It is for us to choose which class of thoughts and associates we will entertain in the astral world, just as we choose our associates in the physical world. The remedy is for overcoming the conditions is the same as the obsession by the two classes mentioned in the former chapter, the fearless and positive challenge. In the name of the Christ and the determined invocation of the divine fire and light of the Christ in the present, of which no thing of darkness or evil can exist. But in addition to the challenge, in this case, you should say to yourself again and again, I refuse to create, I refuse to create, I refuse to create, especially should young persons who have living trouble in controlling their thoughts and desires impress these words upon their subconscious mind just before dropping to sleep. For it is thus possible to train the subconscious mind to wake up and dispel such forces and entities the moment they approach your aura, even while asleep. Also, hold the idea of closing a door in your mind, and your aura will shut out all such thoughts and suggestions as soon as they attempt to intrude. For remember, you do not have to entertain them. Another way to protect yourself is to live in such a perfect accord with the Christ and dwell so continually in the thoughts of love, purity, and unselfishness, and occupy your mind so fully with earnest thoughts of higher things and with study on these subjects that all obscene thoughts or suggestions will be repugnant to you. You will then turn from them as naturally as you would step over a puddle of mud in the street. We cannot be absorbed in two things at once, or as Jesus said, we cannot serve two masters, for we hold to one and despise the other. Therefore, if the general trend of your mind and desire is for higher things, do not be distressed if things you despise occasionally sweeps over your consciousness, for if you do not serve it, it can never become your master. If Christ is your master, you will so despise the evil that it can and will make little impression upon your mind. Students who have special trouble along these lines should immediately put these instructions into practice. If, after a thorough trial, they have trouble, they may write to the teacher of the Order of Christian Mystics for more detailed directions. But remember, you will never reach a point where vigilance is not necessary. Guard through the door of thy heart. And that there ends chapter 10 and 11 of this amazing, incredible book. And a very helpful chapters because a lot of people suffer through and for these things. I've seen it myself. Between friends being drunks and alcoholics and drug abusers and seeing the things that entered them, and they didn't want to believe my abilities to see. But it can come in many, many different forms, and it doesn't necessarily need to be substance abuse. It can be a lot of different things. So guard your heart, guard your soul, guard your vehicle. And with that, sending each and every one of you love and light. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of the week, which is coming to a close very soon. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe button too, please. Bye, guys.